Well, our friend Richard Blanco is a landlord himself and a bit of a property expert with a portfolio across 6 London boroughs. He's also the London representative for the National Residential Landlords Association. And there he is. I'm delighted to see him. Treat me as a complete ignoramus, but why are rents rising so fast right now?
It's a very good question, and it's really because rents are cyclical. So, this time last year, rents were falling a little, and they are now rising this year. I think we're actually coming to the peak, and it's partly because a lot of people have wanted outdoor space, so there've been particular demands for particular kinds of properties. What we're also seeing is that there just isn't enough supply. There are not enough properties out there to rent, and that's causing this kind of shortage. There's a particular problem around the government disincentivizing landlords to buy properties, and what we're finding is more landlords are selling than are buying at the moment. So that means, we're having to deal with this shortage, and that's pushing up prices.
I understand that, but extraordinary that you've got rocketing prices and yet landlords are saying this clearly isn't going to last, so I'm going to get out and take my capital and go and invest it somewhere else.
Well, it's not that it's not going to last. I mean, we're used to prices going up and down, and that's just the way that the housing market works. The problem we've got is that we need something like 200,000 more properties every year for the next year going forward. But actually, the private rented sector fell by 250,000 properties in the last 4 or 5 years. And this is because of tax changes that the government brought in, where landlords are paying something like 60% tax. That's obviously a disincentive. And also we're having to pay 3% extra stamp duty. We pay 28% capital gains tax instead of 20%. So these are all causing landlords to think, what's the point? I might as well just sell up. And that's a problem because, of course, people need privately rented properties. As you say, they form 20% of the market.
Absolutely, and talking to a number of young people, not least my eldest son, who still qualifies as a young person, is that for them there's a real dilemma because the lenders post 2007-8 crash have made the rules much, much tougher. The deposit has to be much, much bigger. They simply can't afford to get onto the property market. Therefore, renting it's not a choice, it's the only solution.
I agree, and I think this is why the government really needs to reflect on its policy. It wants to turn generation rent into generation buy, but the problem is, as you're saying, a lot of young people can't actually afford to get deposits together, and the lenders won't give them mortgages. I mean, I think lenders need to take account of the rents that people are paying, because quite often someone can be paying £2,000 rent a month. The mortgage would cost them £1,200, but they're told they can't afford that. So I think we need to look again at how we assess affordability. And we need the government to be much more positive towards the privately rented sector and encourage more landlords in so that we are there as that safety net for people when they need us.